We're here with member of Knesset Simcha Rothman. We're at the Conservatism Conference of the Tikvah Fund here in Jerusalem. There's 1,200 people here, many of them young people. What kind of energy do you think that gives to the state of Israel?
I think the conservative movement in Israel is the future because the public in Israel is conservative. We have, and we saw it. Current coalition does not represent, I think, the public in Israel, and I think we see it in the numbers, but we see it in the voters. We see it in the strength of the family. We see it in the. We don't have to explain to our people, at least, what are we fighting about, which many other countries do sometimes find it hard to explain to their people why it exists, why it's important to have borders, why it's important to have national feelings and flag and all those kind of ideas. In Israel, the public is there. Public understand that. What the public in Israel is lacking, maybe, is the idea of the ideology behind it, the ability to defend this healthy feelings that they have inside of them when they go and talk in the universities, when they go and talk in the media, when they go and talk in politics. Those ideas don't have the intellectual framing so much needed. And I think the conservative movement, and Tikvah, of course, as maybe an umbrella, or maybe as an educational project, doesn't matter. But a lot of other small organizations and activists, each and every one of them at their own special part, create this movement. And I see this is definitely a demonstration of power, what we see here today.
So you mentioned that the people of Israel, by and large, are conservative, as reflected by the voters. Clearly in this country, the elite and the ruling class and many of the institutions are not conservative in nature. What will it take to bridge that gap and to make the conservative movement the dominant movement in the institution?
So, of course, as a member of the Judicial Selection Committee, of course, I try to talk about those issues and also appoint people who are committed to the ideas that courts should not enforce progressive values over conservative public. That's the idea. But I think the market and the free market of ideas, and the free market of media, and the free market of even law will give the power to the majority, because the only way monopolies of knowledge, monopolies of power survive is because they defend themselves from the power of the market. If they either get government approval, like universities in Israel, that only a very small group of universities to open a university that is not 100% like the current universities. We know how much trouble it was for Ariel and even IDC to open themselves. Media and politics and law and lawyers who are conservative. We see that they are, even though they're majority, they're a minority in the bar convention in Eilat. They're a minority, even though the majority of lawyers are conservative. So in every different field, you need to fight this battle. And I think that Tikvah, and again, the organizations that are in the atmosphere, in the ecosystem of the conservative movement, I think we see the progress there, and not in the bad term of progress.
And you mentioned earlier that the government really does not represent the will of the voters here, that we don't have a conservative government, even though you have a sort of center-right majority in this country. How much longer do you think this government can last, and what will it take for Israel to establish a center-right government that represents the will of the voters?
Oh, that's a question for a prophet, but I think that we all see the end of this current government. We see it every day in the Knesset, losing votes. We see them trying to bribe Knesset members one by one with this money or this achievement, but that cannot hold for much longer. Today there is no government in Israel. Every Knesset member from the coalition does whatever he wants. Every minister does whatever he wants. We saw it. There is no central management to this government, and the process will, like a snowball. So it's a matter of days, or weeks, or months. But but we already the wheels are in motion already.
Simcha Rothman, thank you so much for joining us here on JMS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.